The cold wind howled through the narrow alleyways of the small town of Pinebrook. Snowflakes danced under the glow of the street lamps, and the town square lay silent, except for the occasional footsteps of a night wanderer. On such a night, nestled between two overflowing dumpsters, a small, shivering dog curled up, his matted fur barely providing warmth against the winter's relentless grip. His ribs jutted out beneath his skin, a testament to the many days he had gone without a proper meal. Yet, despite his dire condition, his tail gave the occasional weak wag, a sign that hope still burned in his weary heart. This was Max. Once Max had known warmth. He had belonged to a family, a little girl named Emily whose laughter was the soundtrack to his days. He had spent his time chasing sticks in the backyard, curling up beside her in bed, and waiting at the door for her return from school. But fate had a cruel way of intervening. One summer evening, Emily and her parents had packed their belongings into a moving truck. Amid the chaos, in the rush of goodbyes and preparations, Max had been left behind. By the time he had realized they weren't coming back, days had turned into weeks, and home had become a distant memory. For months, he wandered the streets, scavenging for food, evading cruel hands, and finding brief solace in the kindness of strangers who would toss him a scrap of food or a gentle pat on the head. But winter had arrived and survival had become a battle. One fateful evening, as Max lay huddled in the alley, exhaustion weighing down his eyelids, he heard the sound of footsteps crunching in the snow. He was too weak to lift his head, but the scent that followed was different, warm, familiar, kind. A voice, soft and full of concern, spoke, "Oh, you poor thing." A pair of hands, clad in woolen gloves, scooped him up, cradling him against a thick coat. He felt warmth seep into his frozen bones. The scent of lavender and vanilla surrounded him as he was carried away from the cold, from the loneliness that had plagued him for too long. When Max woke, he was inside a cozy cabin, wrapped in a thick blanket near a roaring fireplace. His aching body was no longer shivering. The woman who had found him knelt beside him, a bowl of warm broth in her hands. She was middle-aged, with gentle brown eyes that reminded him of Emily's. "There you go, sweet boy," she whispered as he lapped at the food, his tail slowly beginning to wag again. Her name was Margaret. A retired nurse, she had dedicated her life to helping the helpless, and Max had now become part of her world. She nursed him back to health, treating his wounds, feeding him, and, most importantly, offering him love. Under her care, Max regained his strength. His once dull fur became thick and shiny again, and his eyes, which had held only sorrow, now sparkled with life. But as Max healed, so did Margaret. She had lost her husband 2 years prior, and though she had friends in town, the loneliness of an empty house had settled deep within her soul. Max, with his unwavering affection, filled the void. He became her shadow, her companion, and her reason to smile again. Margaret soon realized that Max had a special gift, an ability to sense pain in others. Whether it was a child crying in the park or an elderly man sitting alone on a bench, Max would trot over, nuzzle them, and offer his quiet companionship. One day, Margaret took him to a local nursing home where she volunteered. As soon as they entered, the residents' faces lit up. Max wagged his tail, moving from person to person, resting his head on their laps, allowing them to run their fingers through his fur. He seemed to know exactly who needed him most. There was one particular resident, an old veteran named Henry, who never spoke. He sat in the corner, staring out the window, lost in memories of a past only he could see. But Max, undeterred, walked over, sat by Henry's feet, and simply waited. Minutes passed before the old man finally looked down. His eyes, once dulled by time and sorrow, softened. With a trembling hand he reached out, petting Max's head. And for the first time in years Henry spoke. "Good boy." Word of Max's visit spread. Soon he became an unofficial therapy dog, bringing joy wherever he went. Schools, hospitals, nursing homes, wherever there was sadness, Max's wagging tail followed. His journey, from an abandoned stray to a hero of the town, became a testament to the boundless power of love. Then, one spring morning, fate worked its magic once more. Margaret had taken Max to a local school for a reading program where children practiced their literacy skills by reading to dogs. Among the group of children was a familiar face, one that made Max's heart leap. Emily. She was older now, her once childlike features more refined, but her eyes, the ones Max had missed for so long, remained the same. As their gazes met, recognition sparked. Emily gasped, dropping her book. Max, she whispered. Max didn't hesitate. He bounded forward, tail wagging furiously, whimpering with joy. Emily knelt, arms open wide, as he leaped into her embrace. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she buried her face into his fur, her fingers clutching him tightly as though afraid he might disappear again. Margaret, watching the reunion unfold, felt tears of her own. She saw in that moment what she had always believed. Love, true and unconditional, could withstand any distance, any hardship. Emily and her family had never forgotten Max. After their move, they had searched for him, putting up posters, making calls, but he had vanished. And now, as if guided by destiny, they had found each other again. Margaret, with a bittersweet smile, knew what she had to do. That evening she invited Emily's family over, and they spoke about Max's journey, about how he had saved her as much as she had saved him. And though letting him go hurt, Margaret knew where he truly belonged. Emily's family welcomed Max home once more, but they made a promise. Margaret would always be a part of his life. And so, Max split his time between two homes, forever cherished, forever loved. His journey had begun in loneliness, but it had led him to a life filled with purpose, proving beyond any doubt that love knows no bounds. Subscribe my channel, like, share and comment, like more video watches.